Well, thanks for sticking around. We've heard some great speakers tonight and lots of good information to hear. I want you to leave tonight, though, feeling something. And I need to tell you why I'm here, running for the United States Senate, why I'm crossing the road from the private sector into public life and public service. And it starts by letting you know that I'm a lifelong Iowan, that I spent a lot of time in Carroll, Iowa, where my grandmother and mother are from, and aunt and uncle's farm nearby there. Learned an awful lot about Iowa values and many days and nights in rural communities. This community used to be rural when I was growing up right here where we are today. My mom, she cleaned houses for a living. She cut hair. She worked in the school cafeteria. My dad, after he left the Navy, he became a lifelong teacher and coach, which is all I ever wanted to be. And it's what I became. In fact, early in my life, I came to think that I had all the kinds of values that most Iowans would want to have. A wonderful, wonderful wife, now married for 30 years, Cheryl Marie, and a job teaching and coaching the kinds of kids that educators would dream of. Any teachers in the audience tonight? God bless teachers. You see, these kids, they would join me outside the classroom in the community service and activism I've been part of since the age of 14. We were out feeding the homeless, serving the hungry, fixing up shelters. Working with kids like that, that was a joy, a dream. Life for me was really, really good. And then I tell people it got even better for me with the arrival of twins, Dominic and Mia Mauro. And I swore to my two newborns two things: that no matter what my son and my daughter wanted to do, the world would be there for them. And just like a lot of you here to their parents, I promised them I would do whatever I could for them now and to the future. And I set out to do that, just like many of you have done. Then reality struck. In the same way struck thousands of Iowans in our lifetimes. You see, one night my wife and I were sitting at the dining room table, and we listed on a pad of paper our incomes and all the expenses with raising two children. And we realized we were going to have a hard time getting ahead. And I wasn't even sure we'd be able to keep up. I'm not talking about going on trips across the world or anything. I was talking about meeting a medical emergency if one arose for our kids, sending our kids to college one day. The math just wasn't there. So I left the job that I loved, and I went out and built a business. I was able to change the math that would have hamstrung my family. I'll tell you, this new business has gone really well. Today I work in every community in this state. Main streets and town squares with small business owners. Been doing it for 20 years. And because of that success, I was able to start giving back to my community in new ways I never imagined possible. Started to expand my activism. Started assisting domestic violence survivors, human trafficking survivors. I started fighting for workers' rights, farmers' rights, women's rights, gay rights. I pressed my local government to improve our schools, to improve our infrastructure. I became a champion of mental health, and all the while, helping the most vulnerable people in our communities. Like Barack Obama, I became a community organizer. I'm a founding member of an organization here in Central Iowa known as Amos, if you're familiar with it. About 20 years ago, I was called to help find that organization. And it's done some really, really good work around the state for a long time. And as I did that kind of work, much like what you're doing here today, we learned how to organize people. We learned how to gather focused resources. We learned how to get volunteers to help when they didn't know they had the courage to give it. Get cooperation from people who didn't always agree. And those are good skills we can use in DC today. And as I did that kind of work, I saw I wanted to help even more. You see, I've been traveling around the state for a very long time. We've been to 90 counties so far, and we'll keep doing that. But I've been traveling our state for decades. And I'm seeing time and time again, Iowans, despite their hard work and their determination to play by the rules, they are struggling to get by. I'm seeing that in daycare centers and barbershops. I'm seeing that in Legion halls and community centers and churches and union halls. And there's two things I know about Iowans. We believe in hard work, and we believe in fair play. But as I'm looking around this state today, I'm sensing something fundamentally unfair going on all around us. You see, when the cost of healthcare is soaring and prescription drugs are so expensive that our parents are taking their medications every other day, that our loved ones are sharing their insulins. Just another young man in Eastern Iowa died a week or so ago because he couldn't get his insulin. That feels unfair to me, and we deserve better. When I see politicians voting to take away your health care, and those same politicians They have the best health insurance in the world. I don't know about you. I think that's unfair, and we deserve better. I see elected officials voting to ban a woman's right to control her own body, and then they don't commit to empowering women, to supporting women, to providing housing, economic security, education, and so much more for women and families. And that's my mother. That is my wife. That is my daughter. That's the women in this room tonight. Damn, Waukee Democrats. That seems unfair to me, and we deserve better. I see our schools getting worse. My first teaching job was in Seymour, Iowa, in Wayne County, an old coal mining community down about 5 miles from the Missouri border. And I see those schools and those communities getting worse, and our government's doing little help. But then I saw a Republican Congress pass a tax bill in which 83% of the benefit went to the wealthiest 1% of Americans, and then they threatened the Social Security and Medicare of seniors like my parents and yours. And that feels unfair to me, and we deserve better. I see corporations skirting their social responsibility to our communities, and the response there has been to make it easier for them to do the things that they do, to enrich themselves. I see our climate getting worse, threatening our homes, our farms, our communities, our very future for our kids and our grandkids. And what's the government been doing there? They've been making it easier for people to pollute. And damn, I think that feels unfair, and we deserve better. I could go on and on. I'll leave you with one more. We see gun violence reigning in our communities. Another mass shooting yesterday in Milwaukee. Suicides, domestic violence deaths, and more. And hateful rhetoric coming from our president, and then conning and tricking and misleading us to thinking that all are great. And the response from the folks on the other side has been silence. And we deserve better. We can do better. And then when we begin to ask, then we send somebody to D.C. to keep an eye on all that for us? And the answer is yes. Her name is Joni Ernst, and she's been on the wrong side of every one of those issues I've just listed. I got to ask you, any folks in this audience serve our country in the military? Any military veterans in here tonight? Wow. So that's a one-time chance that that's happened. How about parents? Maybe have parents or relatives serve our country in the military, like my father. Yes. And I support those folks, and we should applaud them always. As I mentioned, my dad was in the Navy. I had an uncle who served in Korea, suffered PTSD before we even knew what that was. A good friend of mine was in Vietnam 50 years ago. He was in Iraq 12 years ago. I see the mental and physical scars from his service to this country. Kids I taught and coached still serve this country in the military today. I respect the men and women that do that work. Joni Ernst also served this country in the National Guard. We should all applaud her for that, and I respect her for that work. But you know what? Being a United States Senator, that requires a different kind of service, a different kind of courage. A courage to stand up to your party when your party is wrong. A courage to speak the truth, even that might cost you a vote, maybe even your election. The courage to stand with Iowans first and foremost, even that might result in a mean tweet from a president. But she's lacked that courage. In fact, she hasn't represented you at all. She's been a senator for special interests, for big industry, for fat cats like the Koch brother that still exist. She sold you out, and you deserve better than that. You can do better than that. You see, you need a senator that's going to come and stand and fight for you. And that's me. I'm running around this state, pledging to everybody that I want to be a people's senator, fighting for your families, for their education, for their economic security, for their health care, for the climate and environment that imperils them, for the promises that we've made to our kids and our grandkids, and we're failing them right now. And that's why this Democrat here has crossed the road to get into public life and public service, the privilege and honor of serving this country in the United States Senate. I want to be your senator. I'm hoping I can get your help. And one way you can do that, and this is the best setting for that, is to invite me into your home. I want to hear from you. I can become a good senator because you will talk to me, that you'll be brutally honest with me, that you'll tell me what your concerns are, what you care about, what you like, what you don't like, even about me. Joni Ernst is not going to do that. When you come out with some kind of dissension and you don't agree with her, she's going to run away. Well, she's going to smile at you first, She's going to tell you how great the world is, right? But then she's going to walk away from you because she doesn't want to hear from people who don't agree with her. I want to go out and I'll become better because you're going to tell me the truth. Brutal honesty will make us a better party. A little bit of dissension will make us a better party. And then we'll go beat Joni Ernst. So invite me into your homes. We have lots of staff here tonight. Go out and introduce yourself to them. If you like what you're hearing and you want me to come into your house and visit with you, let us know. I'll come in and talk to you. God bless you. Thank you for having us tonight.